Normal people become terrified of criminals.
Shots were just fired. Police just came out and told us, and we're headed there right now.
They become terrified of their own government.
Let's jump to this story from the American Survey Center. It looks like it's American Enterprise Institute. Generation Z and the transformation of American adolescence. How Gen Z's formative experiences shape its politics, priorities, and future. And I need only throw it to Matthew Iglesias so we can give you the breakdown of one of the most important things they found. Lo and behold, my friends, Gen Z support for same-sex marriage drops from 2021 to 2023. In 2021, Gen Z 80% supported same-sex marriage. Today, it is 69%, lower than millennials. Higher than Gen X and higher than boomers, but lower than millennials. Now, that's really, really interesting. Millennials' approval for same-sex marriage went up. Generation X went up, and boomers went up, and Gen Z went down. So what Matthew Iglesias says is that it's probably a fluke. However, he goes on to say, I do think we now have a good amount of evidence that Zoomers are going to be more conservative than millennials. But this particular finding is just really fishy. Sure, that may be, but the data shows it. And we have that right now. But we can see that there's interestingly, I'll tell you exactly why I think this is happening. Take a look at this. Gen Z's unique teen experiences. Percentage of Americans who report participating in or experiencing the following in their teen years. Gen Z, regularly attended religious services, 52%. Millennials, 58%. Gen X, 64%. Boomers, 71%. Gen Z is down in religious experiences. Had a part-time job, 58%. Millennials, 70%. Gen X, 79%. Boomers, 82%. Had a boyfriend or girlfriend, 56%. Once again, millennials, 69%, 76%, 78%. Drank alcohol or smoked pot or cigarettes occasionally. Gen Z, absolutely not smoking and drinking. And then felt lonely or isolated, 61%. Millennials, 57%. Generation X, 44%. Boomers, 36%. You want to know why it is that Gen Z probably had a huge pushback against same-sex marriage in the past 2 years? It's laid out exactly right here. They are lonely. They are isolated. They don't have significant others. And they're feeling like this weird neo-woke, whatever you want to call it, world, this cultural world, is causing them relationship problems they don't see in the older generations. Mm-hmm. So interestingly, Gen Z looks to millennials, Gen X, and boomers, and they're probably thinking, how come they were able to do it? What's going on today is bullish and it sucks. Mm-hmm. And then the old generation who has it are like, we should be more accepting and progressive, causing problems for the young people. I also think outside of all of this, the biggest and most important component here is liberals don't have kids. And 20 years ago, when Gen Z was being created in passionate lovemaking, more conservatives had kids than liberals, and that means there are more Gen Z conservatives than liberals.
Conservatives weren't killing their kids at mass rates
that's what I
like
mean.
Liberals do. Yeah,
the liberals not only don't have kids, they abort their kids. They're now getting into practices which can result in the sterilization of their kids. Conservatives are still having less kids for sure. But I tell people when they say, oh, indoctrination, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because two reasons. One, more conservative kids, no matter what, means more conservative future, no matter what. There's only so much indoctrinating can do, and it can convince people, it can change people, but it can't be as pronounced as literal biological reality of human beings who are created in conservative spaces. So the indoctrination needs to take place in areas where the left has control or is taking control. But conservatives are pushing back in the culture war, which means they're losing. But more importantly, one of the most important things outside of biological reality is the economic reality. Even the child of a leftist family is now wondering why it is they can't find a boyfriend or girlfriend, they can't find a job, and they feel so lonely. Mm-hmm. And they're looking around them and saying, everything we have is worse than what it used to be. And so you're going to get people who are going to keep saying return. Well, but with the V, you know what I mean?
I love this chart because it just tells you the baby boomers were out living life, and then we restricted, locked down, and plugged in Gen Z. Yeah. I mean, every generation here got progressively more online, and Gen Z was the first generation to live through a lockdown because probably more of them. No, but these experiences, the culture, the community are really valuable things. They shape who people are. And so the idea that Gen Z is worse off is because they are actually isolated, right? They are unhappy. And so they're looking around and saying, we talked about this once, the fact that Gen Z, especially you'll see it on TikTok, they're obsessively trying on different fashion trends from decades before. And they're saying, we wanted what you guys had. We're trying to find what this is. They want the baby boomer life where they can go out without their cell phone and go get, drunk in the woods with their teenage friends or whatever kids did, because they can't do these things because their life is perpetually online and they have no social community.
When you see how cancerous the dating pools are nowadays, too. It's insane.
This not had a boyfriend or girlfriend. I'm sorry, but baby boomers didn't have the situationship. You know what I mean? Like they actually did something about it.
I have the answer for Gen Z. Listen. If you are wondering, go to church. It's crazy. I went to church when I was a kid, stopped going around 12, never went again. But I am telling you, it's not about just like some faith in God or anything. It is about being part of a community that looks out for each other. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. You need to find a community and build one up. See, the issue is for the boomers, 71% were going to religious services. So of course, they were able to have a boyfriend or girlfriend. Of course, they did not feel as lonely or isolated. Surprisingly, they drank and smoked way more. And this is pot or alcohol or cigarettes. So they're probably all smoking cigarettes, to be fair. But the reality is, when you look at this chart, regularly attending religious services means they are constantly in a social environment. And Gen Z, less likely to do so. Mm-hmm. It was crazy. I saw this video. It went viral like a year ago of this moderately attractive, like 24-year-old woman talking about how she was basically an incel. She stayed at home all day. She had no boyfriend and she posted things on the internet. And I'm like, that's weird. Like I can understand that for a 24-year-old guy who does not know how to do these things. But I was like surprised to learn, man, even for young women, they're experiencing many of these similar things because it's not about whether you're a man or a woman for the most part. It's whether or not you know how to socialize or you are a terminally online person.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's almost like skewing gender roles is a bad thing for dating. It's almost like women are supposed to be women and men are supposed to be men, and we have a mutually beneficial relationship. And when you start to skew that, it makes people more lonely. I mean, no man is going to go hang out with another man that was a woman, and you're not going to seek that exact same relationship. I mean, some of you might, but it doesn't work out.
I think it progresses into marriage too, right? I mean, as soon as we sent women to the workforce, we saw a complete collapse in their more traditional roles. Like volunteering went down. This is typically something women manage in the home. It's typically women who organize the social calendar. And so if you have two working people who are obsessed all the time, plugged into their laptop job, the idea that there's community that they foster among themselves and among their children just completely goes away. People don't realize how important the gender roles were for society. They think it's just something that happened to oppress women.
Take a look at this one. Gen Z adults spent less time with friends as teenagers. This is crazy to me. Gen X, 60% said during most or all of my teen years, they hung out with friends. 29% said during some of their teen years, and 11% said not at all. Only 40% of Gen Z says during most or all of their teen years, they regularly hung out with friends. That's
crazy.
Mine is, if someone asked me during all of my teen years, all I did was regularly hang out with my friends. There were points in my life when I was like 14, I wouldn't go home. Mm-hmm. I would stay over at my friend's house all night and we'd play N64, like the four of us. I had friends, we were in a band together. Then I started skateboarding. My friend group got bigger. All we would do is go out and skateboard all the time. And then when I stopped going to high school after a couple months, all we did was go out every single day and skateboard. It is crazy to me to think that there were kids in Gen Z that literally were not hanging out with friends.
But think about the effect of COVID, right? The internet and
sure.
COVID. There was literally years that high schoolers went from being like I know people who were freshmen in high school the year lockdown happened, right? Then for the next basically 2 years,
but is that Gen Z?
They'd be Gen Z.
Yeah.
And so they wouldn't be in school. I mean, this is true of a lot of people. And if you're not, I mean, this is true in a lot of situations. You have to start making friends in order to maintain friendship. So if they never got that introduction, especially during this age where socializing is actually something the brain desperately needs to practice, then you are it's more challenging to make friends. It gets more comfortable to stay online and talk on anonymous, internet forums, whatever else. The internet is good in a lot of ways, but ultimately, I think a lot of people have been using it to avoid practicing normal social skills that baby boomers just did because that was how we operated as a society.
This is crazy. Take a look at this. So influence on parental education. Kids who had two parents were substantially more likely to take private art or music lessons, play in a competitive sport, regularly attend religious services, and substantially less likely to drink alcohol, smoke pot, or cigarettes occasionally. Unsurprising that two-parent homes are better. Now, with no degree, that's college degree, which is interesting. Two parents with no degree was less likely than single parents to play a competitive sport. I think that one makes sense. Single parent probably says, I'm going to drop my kid off at soccer practice so I can go take care of business and then come back later. But still regularly attended religious services, still less likely to drink and smoke pot, still more likely to take private art or music lessons. Single parent across the board seems to have it the worst. And I think that's increasing. There was a viral post that's probably fake, but it was like a woman saying she was seeking a sperm donor. And I think I had a video about this earlier. There's a black market sperm donation thing happening on Facebook where women are like, I'm trying to get pregnant, so I need a donor. And it's just like, it's the weirdest thing. This is what has evolved of procreation. I seriously think we're going towards pod babies because women are gonna be like, I'm gonna keep there's a movie about it. I forgot what it's called, but it's like a woman wants to have a kid, but she's a careerist. So she ends up getting a pod where the baby grows in a thing and they put it in a closet.
Which is a metaphor for motherhood there, right? She's going to have it happen somewhere where she's not actually having to deal with it.
Well, you
at
bring
all.
it to work and then you put it in the closet. But it's like,
So
it's kind of a bad ending anyway. But I think that's definitely where we're going. One of the big trends now is that women are seeking unvaccinated sperm only. Mm-hmm. But in one of those posts, the woman was like, I want a man to come and donate in person the natural way and then leave and I'll take care of the baby on my own. This means that baby has only a mom. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is a recipe for disaster for society. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.